How you doing, guys? BC90 here with the next video in my Poise Showcase series, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Mighty Greatsword. Now straight away we'll go over to my status page where you can see here I've reverted back to my previous build prior to my Lido's Great Hammer video. So we're back at 54 vitality and 50 strength, and at 50 strength two-handed the Greatsword gets 632 AR, which is quite good. And over to my equipment page, you can see here I've got it at plus 10 and infused with a heavy gem, so it gets an A scaling in strength. Now the good thing about this weapon is it can also be buffed, so when you buff it here with Human Pine Resin, we go up to a very respectable 727 AR. Now going back over to my equipment page here, guys, I've got two Blessed Cestus as usual to stack with my Sun Princess ring when I play the neutral game, keeping in mind that if you do want the full benefits of all this stacked HP regen, you do need to switch out to this second Blessed Cestus and play the neutral game for a little while. 10 to 15 seconds is usually enough for you to get a decent amount of health back, as you usually get about 7 HP per tick when you have all these different, when you have these two blessed items working in tandem with the Sun Princess ring. As you can see, they are at plus 10 there, so you reap the full benefits of that HP regen with these two Cestus or Cesti, however you want to say it, when you do play that neutral game. On top of that, I've got the heavy broadsword plus 9 there in my offhand as my fast weapon there to put pressure on those passive reactive players, or with punish, or punish casters, etc, etc, punishing quick step users. I've discussed the benefits of having a faster weapon in your offhand many times before, so I'll continue using that with these particular setups. I've also got a crossbow here, a knight's crossbow plus 10 as well. I do love the versatility that a crossbow does give your builds, in terms of dealing with those passive reactive guys, setting up some baits here and there, shooting casters as well. It's quite effective in all those regards, so I do recommend having a bit of versatility in your weapon selection, guys, so you're not just relegated to using one particular weapon type, because obviously you are going to be outmatched in certain scenarios, so you do want to have a little bit of versatility there to deal with different threats in the meta. Now on top of that, I've got almost full Havels here with an Iron Helm, and as you can see there, my poise value is at 48.15. Now going back over to the breakpoint calculations, when you are using an Ultra Greatsword or a Great Axe, if you're above 45.81, you can comfortably consecutively hyper armor trade with every two-handed R1 up to and including other Ultra Greatswords, Great Axes and Curved Greatswords, but unfortunately we can't contest Great Hammers in terms of two-handed R1s. So in that case, it's just a matter of switching over the Sun Princess ring here to the Wolf ring plus 3 at the start of a match if you see yourself go up against a Great Hammer and you want to outtrade them. And as you can see, by equipping the Wolf ring plus 3 there, we go up to 52.82 base poise. And remembering that with an Ultra or with a Great Axe, once you're above 52, you can contest those Great Hammers in terms of two-handed R1 trading as well. Now, I only really switch that over when I do see a Great Hammer, which is pretty rare in the arena anyway, so I'll switch back to my Sun Princess ring, and we're at 48.15 already, so we can pretty much contest every other two-handed R1 in the game, besides those Great Hammers anyway. So going back over here to my setup, guys, I've also got the Ring of Favor plus 3, Chloranthy ring plus 3, and the Havels ring plus 3, and as you can see there, my weight ratio is at 69.7, so we're avoiding that fat roll, which is essential. Now quickly discussing the moveset here, guys, the Greatsword actually has the vertical R1s, so these shoot directly in front of you and go over the top to hit behind you. Subjectively speaking, from my point of view, I do prefer the horizontal or the diagonal strikes over the vertical ones. I do think these ones are a lot easier to dodge in my opinion, as they don't cover that wider arc around you. But in saying that, the second R1 is actually quite good at hitting people behind you. If someone tries to roll behind you for a backstab, they can usually get hit there, which is good. The R2 is this pretty decent sort of sweeping attack that goes in a wide arc around you. Whoops, we'll just go back to showing that one off again there. So this one, it does leave you quite open. It's quite telegraphed and slow, but in certain situations it can roll catch quite effectively and catch people off guard for a big hit. Now in terms of the weapon art, it is the stomp, but unfortunately it's the spin stomp instead of the golfing stomp that shoots your opponent in the air. And again, in my opinion, I think this particular stomp is inferior in comparison to the golfing stomp, so it's not as good in my opinion. Now the rolling R1 as well is similar to Great Hammer rolling R1s that does this sort of sweep attack again. And again, I don't think this is the best rolling R1 in terms of Ultra Greatswords. I do prefer the poke, mainly because these Ultras have such great reach. You know, I would have liked a poke here instead of this, sweep. But again, that's purely subjective, so I mean, you may enjoy this moveset more than I do, but for me personally, I prefer Ultra Greatswords that have the diagonal or horizontal strikes instead, and the rolling R1 poke instead of this, sweep attack sort of thing. Now, one last thing I might mention, guys, one of my viewers in my previous video, the Lido's Great Hammer, his name was WonderMonkey09, he actually mentioned why I skipped using the Prisoner's Chain on the Lido's Great Hammer build. And essentially, I did record that video prior to the Prisoner's Chain changes, and I haven't playtested it that effectively yet. I'm still sort of playtesting it here and there, because apparently you only get a 3% increase in damage, or 4% increase in damage now in PvP, which is quite good actually. In theory it's actually quite good. You get those 15 free levels and only a 3% increase in damage, so it does sound quite good. I am playtesting that currently with another particular setup that I'm working on for my next video, so I'm not using the Prisoner's Chain in this particular setup. I'll probably be using it in my next video and discussing whether you actually do need it in these heavy poise builds. I do probably think that they're a lot better in 66 strength builds that actually want to utilize a decent amount of poise, because that way you can obviously take off points from extra points from vigor or endurance or whatever, and equip the Prisoner's Chain, and just chuck those extra points in strength to go up to 66, so it's quite effective in that regard. But I'll do a proper discussion on the Prisoner's Chain and its new uses in my next video, so we'll discuss that then. Anyways, guys, enough talk. Let's go straight into the action here. Let's play a few matches with the Greatsword, and let's see how we go. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Looks like we've got, I can't really tell from here actually. I won't speculate for fear of getting it wrong, but it looks like another Ultra. Could be the Lothric Knight Ultra Greatsword, maybe. Nope, it's just a regular Greatsword it seems. Probably the Wolf Knight Greatsword, although yeah, I can't really tell properly from here. See if he uses that weapon art. Whoop! Ah, just gonna go for that bait there, but he completely avoided it. Whoop! Fast enough there to dodge our attacks. Nice trade. Yep, definitely the Wolf Knight Greatsword there. Whoop. Whoop. Gotcha! Perfect. That was a fun little match there, guys. Alrighty guys, straight on to the next match. Looks like we got a, I don't know what, actually. Gale's Greatsword. Gotta be careful with the jumping attacks with this one. Whoop! And roll twice after the roll. And game over. Alrighty, straight on to the next match. And it looks like we got a Lido's Great Hammer there, so we'll switch straight over to the Wolf Ring. As, you know, that'll help us contest it in terms of regular two-handed R1s. And there we go. Go up to 52 guys and you can contest those great hammers in terms of poise. Alrighty guys, straight on to the next match here. Now I'll just quickly switch over my Wolf Ring there to the Sun Princess, as I was fighting a great hammer a little bit earlier, so let's see how we go here against Gale's Greatsword. Nice trade for us. Probably not a good trade for him there. And that's game over. Straight on to the next match, guys. Looks like we have a katana. Is that the frayed blade? I can't really tell from here, actually. Whoops. Oh, I just missed that. Whoop. I want to try and kill him with the crossbow here, guys. I know it's risky. I know it's risky. Ah, but it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. When you actually land it, as risky as it can be, it's great. Alrighty guys, straight on to the next match here. Looks like we have a Pyro using the new Pyro Curve Sword. Demon Scar, I think it's called. This actually was a good trade against the Chaos Bed Vestiges. Whoop! Just haphazardly throwing those around. He's really going through his FP there. Okay, let's finish him off here. And there we go. I knew I could take a Chaos Bed Vestiges to the face there, guys, and just one crossbow bolt and it was all over. Alrighty guys, straight on to the next match here. We've got, it looks like the Ring Knight paired Greatswords. So just because that weapon has an extraordinary amount of hyper armor, we're going to go up and use the Wolf Ring, just so we can, you know, get guaranteed hyper armor trades here. You know, or just use spacing, really. Look at that, it's the rolling meta. Game over. Straight on to the next match here, guys. Let's do this. Ah, we get a bow this time. Awesome. So it looks like, from what I can tell here, it looks like the Black Knight Greatsword. Yep, Black Knight Greatsword. Whoop! Whoop! How did we miss that? Gotcha. All about spacing and timing. I've been getting my timing all wrong so far in this match. Whoop! Perfect trade there. Just what we were looking for. Whoop! Okay, switched over to a parrying shield there, so let's do a bait. Let's try and do a bait here. Let's get him to try and parry. Ready? Nope. Now. Nope. Looks like he might be a little bit scared to go for a parry. Nope, there we go. Perfect. Perfect little parry bait there, guys. Alrighty, guys. Got another Demon Scar Pyro here. Don't know if it was the same guy as before. Looks like it might be, since he's just throwing these Chaos Bed Vestiges willy-nilly all over the place. Oh, we just missed that. Game over. There's just something so satisfying about finishing people off with a crossbow. That's why I love having one in my weapon slots, guys, there, as a secondary weapon. It's just too good. Alrighty guys, next match. What have we got here? Can't really tell from here actually. Looks like the Dark Sword. The Dark Sword and the... looks like that Dragon Head shield. Not the Great Shield version though, the one that can spit fire at ya. Whoop! Yeah, that one. Cheeky. Cheeky! Whoop! Whoop, whoop. Passive Dark Sword user. Haven't seen one of these guys in a long time. Alright, let's see if we can get our whoop. Ready, whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop! We're gonna switch over here. Nope. Okay, don't know why he went for that buff there again. Big mistake, I think. Now he's going to have to play more aggressively because we have a fast weapon in our offhand that's putting a bit more pressure into him. He can't just roll away from big heavy weapon attacks the entire time. Whoop! And game over. That's another argument for having a fast weapon in your offhand, guys. It just increases your versatility so much. You can really put pressure on your opponents when they play reactively that way. Alrighty guys, next match. Whoop. Got the Moonlight Warrior. Whoop. Never underestimate the Greatsword's reach, guys. This thing has exceptional reach. Boom, game over. Alrighty guys, straight on to the next match. Let's see if this can be our final match of the video. How you doing, buddy? Preacher's Arm. Let's tango. Nope. Aquamarine Dagger. parrying tool. Quite a good roll catcher, that one. The rolling meta. Got to watch out for that Preacher's Arm. I know it has some sort of spamming sort of attack. I remember seeing it online somewhere. Boom. Another excellent roll catch there. And game over. Alrighty guys, my final thoughts on the Greatsword here. In my opinion guys, now after the heavy gem changes on a 66 strength build, this is one of the hardest hitting Ultra Greatswords now. It even hits harder than the Fume Ultra Greatsword as well in terms of raw damage. And even, you know, in a heavy poise build like this one where you're not up to 66 strength but you still have a decent amount of strength, 50 in this case, it still hits like an absolute truck as I discussed earlier. 632 AR and can also be buffed with Human Pine Resin, and you go back up to a very impressive 727 AR. So after the heavy gem changes guys, this Ultra Greatsword hits like an absolute truck, and that's a big point going for it. In my personal opinion though, I'm more of a fan of the horizontal or diagonal strikes as opposed to these vertical or over the head R1s. But that's purely subjective guys, so if you prefer this moveset then this might be the Ultra Greatsword for you. And of course, as we've tested in this video, this Ultra Greatsword is excellent for your heavy poise builds. As long as you can stick to those breakpoints that I discussed, you know, you'll be hyper armor trading or tanking through your opponents with ease. Now, it's a little bit heavy at 20 units, but it's a lot lighter than the Fume Ultra Greatsword, and it outperforms it now in terms of raw damage, and it gets an A scaling in strength as well, which is pretty good. So you know, all in all, I think it does have the advantage of the Fume Ultra Greatsword at the moment. The only thing I would say is that the Fume has a you know, a better stomp as opposed to you know, this stomp here, which I'm not a big fan of. But again, that's subjective. You might prefer it. You know, you never know. Anyways guys, one last thing I might mention, I'm actually going to do a shout out here to one of my viewers and one of my subscribers. His name is Final Getsuga Tensho. Now the reason I'm shouting him out is because he's actually gone and done some testing, some play testing with the poise breakpoints, and he's been using the refined poise calculator as well. And basically what happened is, in my poise discussion video I mentioned that your rolling and running R1s, they give you the least amount of hyper armor in terms of trading, which is true. But Final Getsuga Tensho has actually gone out and done some playtesting with running and rolling R1s using Ultra Greatswords, remembering that Ultra Greatswords have the same breakpoints as Great Axes, and he actually found out that if you want to consecutively hyper armor trade using running and rolling R1s against fast weapon two-handed R2s, you actually need a base poise of 49.68. That's to consecutively hyper armor trade using those two attack types when you face two-handed R2s from light weapons, so like, you know, long swords, katanas, etc. And you only need 37.10 to individually hyper armor against those faster weapons when you're using running and rolling attacks. Now this is very good information to know, as I'm sure a lot of you have wondered, hey, how come I, you know, get staggered out of my running and rolling attack animations? It's because you get the least amount of hyper armor with them, so the breakpoints will fluctuate higher. And my subscriber here, Final Getsuga Tensho, actually went out and playtested those breakpoints. Now I still think, in my opinion, that you know, they're not very consistent or reliable in terms of trading, because, you know, number one, those breakpoints do go pretty high, you know, as discussed, and also because running and rolling R1s can be parried, so there's less consistency there with trading. So in my opinion, I would probably stick to just using the two-handed R1 attacks, the two-handed R2 attacks, and the weapon arts from these heavy weapons in order to get you know, a more consistent and reliable trading capacity, as the breakpoints are easy to hit, and I've discussed those in many videos before. One last thing though, and again, shout out to my same subscriber, one last time, Final Getsuga Tensho, I really hope I've said that correctly, but he also made the discovery playtesting that these breakpoints that I've been discussing using these weapon classes, they stay true, or they hold true when you two-hand your weapon and when you also one-hand your weapon as well. Now, I went out and play tested this extensively myself, and I can tell you that, for example, if you're above 45.81 using an Ultra Greatsword, you can obviously hyper armor trade consecutively against two-handed R1s from other Ultras and other Great Axes, but you can also do that one-handed as well. So same breakpoint, you can do it one-handed and two-handed, and if you go above to 52, I've also tested this against Great Hammers, against a Great Club specifically. I was able to consecutively hyper armor trade one-handed using this Greatsword or this Ultra Greatsword against that Great Club's two-handed R1 attacks. Keeping in mind I was above 52, which is the breakpoint. This is actually revelatory news in my opinion, because it means that you know, you can mix and match your attacks two-handed and one-handed and still rely on the same breakpoints in order to consistently hyper armor trade against those same weapon classes. So that's pretty awesome. Again, just remember these one-handed attacks can be parried, but it's quite revelatory, and thank you very much Final Getsuga Tensho for you know, all your hard work in going out there and researching this stuff, because it really adds to you know, the total pool of info here with these poise breakpoints and poise systems, and it is absolutely awesome. Anyways guys, I might end this video here. As always, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you're enjoying my content, please subscribe, and as always guys, thank you for watching.